at the Enterprise C build, and I'm just going to go through it, do some work on it, sort of try and stay on top of things as we go. Hope you enjoy it. A lot of times when it comes to placing doors, I try to place them where it seems to be the best location for them. I don't always nail it, just try to do my best guesstimation. Put a little head area in here. Yeah, I said head. Suck it up. A lot of these little areas on the ship and stuff really don't have a purpose, so what we try to do is give them one. This will probably be turned into like a little crawl space, sensor nodes, something like that. I have no idea yet. Put some things in. I can show you right now what I'm talking about. Something like this. Stick a little engineering color tag on it so people when they come in they know it's, oh, this is part of engineering. Oh my god. That's so cool. I'll be like, yeah, whatever. I had nothing better to put there, so that's what I'm putting there. And they'd be like, oh, yeah. I'm like, okay. A lot of the details for these rooms and what'll be in them, to be honest with you, I have no clue yet. A lot of that process is done post construction. We just kind of go through and decide, this seems like a good idea for this or a bad idea for that, and so on and so forth. The reason we use magenta is so that if we ever decide to export these models and cut them up, we can use the magenta as obviously a guide and eventually print them, physical prints of our work. So, seems like a good idea. We're going to hopefully one day have the technology or the ability to do it if we don't already. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do it, just I'm too dumb to figure it out. And there are a lot of smarter guys on this server than I, and they too have been like, I'm not sure how to do it, so it's sort of been put on the back burner. Oops. But again, the magenta is used basically as an outline for the deck plans themselves, and later we'll change those colors out for something, you know, like it could be the floor color itself, or it could be light gray, dark gray. It really depends on what we decide to do. And again, we may not, let's leave a magenta and you walk along and say, oh, what the hell is that for? Well, now you know. Just to help us keep keep everything nice and tidy. These are basically crew quarters, but like with anything, they'll get changed around or filled in or whatever. It really just depends on what we feel like doing. We might change the door locations for them to something a little bit more fitting once we get into the build, but right now it's just me placing blocks to see how things look, and if they look good, I'm happy camper. If they don't look good, well, they get ripped out and replaced. Or somebody else will come along, have a better idea for something, and they'll do that. Pretty much an open source project, so we try to maintain specific build guides as we go, but build standards, but sometimes they kind of fall to the wayside as new techniques are developed, or somebody comes along and they're really, good at what they're doing. They'll change a bunch of stuff and set the bar even higher. Shadow Viper, he did that to us. He came in and, raised the bar. DeBomb and others, they've all done the same thing. They have good ideas and they improve on other people's techniques. And next thing you know, we've got new ideas coming in, and everybody's like, "Wow, that's really cool. How come we didn't think of that before?" And the simple answer is we're too dumb, or we're too focused. Yeah, you pick. You get set in your ways. You don't really want to change, but change is always good. This is a Jeffries tube access point, so technically this should be gray wool, so I know there's a separator here, but I think, it should work. Yeah, it'll work. Yeah, I gotta do this. I don't like shortening these, because this means this area will be really small, but it has to be done. It mandates itself. Oh, somebody joined the server. I don't know who that is, but here they are. Welcome back, Atro. And we will put a door here, it looks like. Because you can't put one over there. He updated the server to 1.6.4, and I needed help configuring a lot of my programs that I use for building and stuff, and he offered some pretty useful suggestions. Imheller's the server owner and administrator. He's the guy that does all the imports for all the builds and kind of helps us keep everything on track. He's a huge resource to this community. Without him, we wouldn't have a community, to be blunt. He's the driving force behind keeping the D project alive, which is, of course, the Enterprise D. So he's also a good friend for a lot of us. And we always pick his brain for ideas and things like that. He seems to know a lot about what he's doing. Obviously, heck, look at the server. It runs so smooth. And he doesn't just update it just to update it. He updates it for purpose. In other words, he tests everything out, and before he just, hey, this plugin's been updated, install it. He'll no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to test it myself and make sure it works. So I don't want to have to install it, then go back through and figure out all the tweaks for it. He does that, and then he does it. Of course, sometimes the server will be down for a couple of days while he does it, but, that's the breaks of the game. All for the good. And it makes us appreciate it that much more. So, I might actually move those doors to this corridor. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and move those doors to this corridor. Mind you, I'm new at this, so there'll be periods where I'm not going to say anything or whatever. Just bear with me. If not, go watch something else. Hopefully I'll improve over time. Then again, I might suck. So now I'll go over here and knock out the doors I just put in, and because these will have doors on this side, so you know, want to make the purpose of the corridors a little bit more fleshed out. So we'll do that. So corridors. I'm going to be saying the word "so" a lot. Looks like. Missed some blocks here. They need to be in. This was Brain Pop's idea. It helps separate the. It gives the ship more definitions and stuff. Get a server admin warning there. Somebody's trying to do something they're not supposed to. It happens. I get those all the time. When you come on the server, there are a bunch of tools and features that you can use. I strongly recommend it when you're at the academy or the spawn area. You read through the information that's posted there. The guys that have taken the time to post that info have done all of us a great service, and it's extremely helpful information. Like, I didn't know, you know, that you can use the compass. Let me demonstrate here real quick for you. At first I didn't know, and now I do, obviously, but use the compass to move through decks and so on and so forth. Whoops, we moved into something we shouldn't have. But anyways, by doing that, it would have sent an error message to either myself or another admin who's online. So we call it spamming our inbox. Other features include set home, and then you can name it. And then, like with myself, I have several homes, as you can see. But very helpful tools. You know, you need TP, and you need first couple letters of a person's name, and you can TP to their location. And Academy teleports me back to the Academy or to the spawn point, where there is, as you can see, lots of very useful information. So, getting a little bit of frame drop and lag there. I'm using the Gamma mod and the Xannies map mod. They help. I also have another mob in the background, but it's not turned on right now. It kind of cycles the CPU too much, so I tend not to use it unless I have to. And that's called the Element Material Detector mod, which is a very helpful mod for mapping. Gamma mod allows us to brighten up areas to work in them. Without it, some of the areas of the ship would be way too dark. I can show you here if I can find an area that's enclosed. Now, right now we're using lighting in this area, but without the deck lighting, this would be virtually entirely black room, and you'll see a little bit better when I drop down in here how dark it gets. You probably can't see anything, but I hit the gamma light, and you can see now. Great mod. So that's how we're able to do a lot of this. This section of the ship, I'm not real sure yet exactly what we're going to do here. Obviously it's going to have corridors. I try to find purposes for all parts of the ship, including the hull. Areas of the hull that we can't access, like this little crawl space here, will probably be braces. By braces I mean structures like this, excuse me, to kind of shore it up. Or it'll be tanks like water or waste, or I might even put a well, I'm definitely going to put an aft torpedo launcher back here someplace. I just haven't figured out where yet. We try to keep the models as specific as we can to the 3D model and to the images we have of the ships, but the interior spaces, sometimes they don't really work out the way the model would indicate. You'd have windows where there shouldn't be, because the guys who make the model for like the series, they'll be like, oh, that looks cool to have a window there, but when you start building the ship you realize, this is not a real good spot for a window. You know, so you run into problems like that. Logically, designing the ship from exterior to interior is not the way to do it. You want to go from interior to exterior, but it's Star Trek, so all we have are exteriors, and we have to build the interiors and try to do as well as we can. This is obviously a phaser strip. It's going to go down underneath the deck here into the next lower deck. This will all be phaser equipment, stuff like that, and this will be probably phaser arrays and engineering equipment, because this is the bottom of the warp core, so this is where all the antimatter will be set up to be injected, I assume, that's what's going to happen here. Obviously there's a path lead up for something. Whoops. Yeah, well, it goes nowhere. It probably will. It is just a wall there temporarily, but this is obviously deuterium processing, so at some point I'm sure this will connect over there too. We just haven't got it routed yet. Obviously there's a wall there, so it'll probably get knocked down, go right across there and into the warp core. And then up the warp core it goes, all the way up to the impulse engine. And then along this, I guess a transverse center beam, whatever. I'm not real familiar with the terms anymore. I used to know them all, but like everything else, I forget things 10 minutes after I learn them. This is the pylon. It's currently under development. That over there, some kind of vent system that Lupus, plasma conduit leading in vents. Who made this? I think Lupus made this. I call it Lupus. It may not be how he spells his name. It's L-U-P-U-S. So to me, it sounds like Lupus. You know, so I could be wrong. If I am, I'm sorry, dude. Correct me. A lot of the interior design, like the bridges and some of the corridor design, actually all the corridor design is a guy named Brain Pop. He's one of the contributing main builders of the ship. He has helped us on a lot of other builds. So when we had the opportunity to start building this, him and I and M. Heller talked about it, and M. Heller imported it for us, and Brain and I started on it. This auxiliary bridge, or battle bridge as it's commonly called on the Star Trek lore, is all his design. It's really nice layout. I had to mod it a little bit to fit in the space we had available for it, but overall it's 99% his design. I did this. This is my design. I put a little turbo lift here, but whoops, I guess that goes nowhere. Oh, here it is. And along the turbo lift here. Yeah, the reason the turbo lifts are such a cramped space is technically when you are in this space, you are the lift. So you kick up, you know, a spot like this. You are that big ass turbo lift thingy. Eventually this will all be replaced with command blocks, but not right now. So right now it's just big metal tubes. Anyways, we work our way up here. I have a kitten crawling on my desk, El Diablo. So I gotta, excuse me for a second. Take your cat. Thank you. El Diablo likes to walk on my keyboard, and that ain't good. Anyways, this is Brain's design. This is true to the series. I wanted to make some changes to it, and he fought me on it, told me no, and he was right. You know, what can I tell you? He knew what he was doing here, and he did a beautiful job with it. I mean, look at this. Kid did, I mean, the show, if you look at the models for the bridge, it's a little bit bigger than normal, but it's a nice space to have. And, you know, we could remock it and use some of the extra space for other rooms and stuff, but to be honest with you, I like it. And really, that's all that matters in the end. So this would be deck, technically this is deck 1, but the bridge would, they always refer to the bridge as deck 1, so this would be deck 2 or 1A or 1B, whatever you want to call it. I'll let them label the decks. Again, this is my screw up here. I moved the hallway so that I could do something. I don't remember what, but I didn't fix it. I need to fix it. Here, I'll turn off the gamma light, and you can kind of get the ambient mood of the room here and the corridors. We're using carpet in this area, but this will probably be knocked out and replaced with actual cotton blocks. So this will be crew quarters or an office, probably an office or the captain's room, who knows yet. And I think Mad Squirrel did this. I'm not real sure. I'm pretty sure he did. He was helping us with it, so it might be his little contribution there. We haven't really put much thought into it. Oh, I have in a lot of areas. Like this is an engineering area, of course, but you know, we haven't gone through and done a lot of the detail or fit and finish to it. Yeah, communications array, transmission room, and of course this will say the same thing. Yeah. Now the ship has a double wide or double center beam, and so we run into problems with this is, of course, most ships have, some builders use one block center beams, so the captain's chair is a center beam chair and all that so forth. What we found is the double beam works best for us on these builds, is it gives us more flexibility to put things in the center of the ship. And if we have to, like if we're running a turbo lift down the center of the ship, it works really well because turbo lifts are 4x4, but if we need to run a corridor, the corridor will be too wide. Another option, of course, is we put the turbo lift on one side, and this would be a wall, and then of course the corridor would go here, so you have a corridor on this side of the ship and turbo lift on this side. That's a one center beam, or another turbo lift here, one going out, one coming in. That's how we work around it if we have to. It really just depends on the builder and the design team and what they elect to do. A lot of the problems, reason why we adopted the standard is to avoid problems we ran into with older builds, like some of my older builds. Part of the ship would be double wide and some of the ship would be single wide beams. Of course that caused all sorts of mismatches, and we're actually running into that problem with the D build. I'll see if I can zip over there pretty quick for you here. A lot of the chunk loading stuff is just artifactual problems with my plugins, or the mods I use, the 3 or 4 mods I use. I have Optifine installed, but it might not be working well. It might need to be updated again, who knows. Also, since we're using 1.6.4, we're no longer using mod loader, we're using Forge, and Forge is a little bit of resource heavy, so set time day. See if I got that right. Nope. Try this way. Set time day. Nah. Time set day. There we go. I learned it. M and Blue Goblin recently completed work on some of the lower sections of the ship, and then M went ahead and remerged those and separated out these parts, or these decks. This, of course, is the A. Oh, excuse me, this is the D, my bad. Yep, that's lava. One thing to remember, if you ever import this ship into a single player world, the lava will flow and it will set everything on fire, and the big galaxy class ship here will burn to the ground. I've done it myself. So you'll definitely, when you import it into your world, if they allow that to happen again, I don't know, we've had a lot of people steal this. And since so many people have worked on it, they're kind of possessive of her, and they don't really want someone who hasn't worked on her taking full credit for her build. Of course, this is Halcoon's inception. You know, he's the guy that started the ball rolling on all of this, and without him, none of this would be possible. Or, I'm sure it would be possible, but it would never have gotten off the ground as fast as it did without Halcoon taking the lead and showing us that it can be done. I can't tell you enough about the D. The D is so impressively large that it staggers the mind. The only way to truly experience it is to get on the server, which of course is mindtrek.net, and come and look at it yourself. Well, that's an annoying sound, isn't it? It's just phenomenally huge. You will get lost. We all do. And since the ship was pre-alpha built, a lot of the areas have to be renovated, and that's the main reason why the ship's being broken, or well, we call it separated, is so that we can update these decks as we go up and finish them up and try and get the D as completed as possible before we start any other major projects like the Enterprise E. Now, M. Heller's put a lot of time into a lot of the other projects. The Enterprise E, he spent a lot of time cleaning up the interior of the decks, because of course it's a 3D model import, so we have a lot of artifact blocks that have to be cleaned out and fixed and removed, and other oddities occur. A lot of us helped him with that. It's really tedious work, so you have to be pretty dedicated to stay on it. We got somebody over there running around. Yep. Anyways, this is the main hangar of the Enterprise D. Let's go ahead and chunk load here. Yeah, this work up here. The pumpkins, the idea for the pumpkin lighting came from a guy named Cuss. He did a beautiful Aztecing on the Enterprise A hull and then fell off the face of the earth. We don't know what happened to him. Then Loki came through and put all the gray lines in here as well as the pumpkin lighting. And then recently Patchy Patch came through and put all these support braces in, and it really, you can see it for yourself. This hangar is just amazing. Just beautiful. Beforehand it was just all pumpkin lighting, and of course the separators really helped out, and now this is just wow. Well, this is part of what I was telling you about earlier about setting the bar higher. Patchy is phenomenal detail-oriented guy when it comes to this stuff. If you ever have a chance to come in and look at this, you'll just be amazed at what he and others have done here. Right now I think he's working on the computer core, so we will see. Whoops. I have speed set, so I'm going to be running into stuff. We're getting rid of the water. It's no longer needed. Again, this is one of those artifacts from pre-alpha where to move up and down the ship you didn't have fly options unless you had a mod. Now of course it's incorporated in the game, so we don't need water. So slowly but surely all this water is going to get removed. This looks like a Vulcan shuttle, or no, excuse me, that is actually part of a runabout. Again, look at the detail involved here. This is just amazing. I mean, who would have thought to do this? I would have never occurred to me to do something like this. You know, a little runabout with a. But look at that, it's amazing. This is why he was looking for a runabout, and this, of course, is the runabout part that goes in there. It's amazing stuff. I see stuff like this, and I want to go and delete all my work and start over again. It's really depressing. But yeah, the D is an amazing build. Something about this metal texture. It's every time I see a lot of it, it really depletes my frame rates badly. So I try not to use it, or well, I do use it, but I try not to, you know, stare at it. It's like staring at a snake. You stare at it too long, and stuff starts going wrong real fast. So keep that in mind. That might be one of the issues you have if you're on the server and it's laggy for you. It might be our texture resource pack. It is pretty intense. It's a 64 by 64 pack, so a lot of work goes into it and maintaining it and stuff like that. So a lot of dedicated people have worked on this build and on this server, and you can see it if you come on and look it over. You'll see all the fantastic builds and stuff. You could literally spend weeks on here just exploring the D alone. So here's a quick look at the B. Well, as we fall. This was one of the builds I worked on with M. Heller, and to be honest with you, when I started cleaning up the hull on this, I didn't have any high expectations for this build. I did not anticipate it would come out as well as it did, and well, frankly, it is an absolutely beautiful ship. I mean, we did a phenomenal job on this, and of course, you know, so many of us are working on it that the main people that put a lot of time into it are like people like DeBomb, M. Heller, and myself. This right here is all M. Heller. Look at that. Look at the beauty of that. Everything is so. I'm going to steal that for the Enterprise seat. Don't tell M. Heller, but it's coming with us. Then you got people that have come in and done beautiful work like this and put the Aztec, well, not the Aztec, but the labeling on it. Hulls like this, it's really difficult to Aztec them. The Aztecing is the pattern you see that looks like welded metal plates. It can be done. Like they've done it on the Enterprise D, of course, and Cuss did it on his version of the Enterprise A, and it looks beautiful. And that over there, of course, is the Enterprise A. We just haven't gotten over there. But it is very time-consuming, and it's so easy to make a mistake with that. And because you know you're using Minecraft here, so you got a round hole, square blocks. This is the Enterprise A. It's still very much a work in progress. This is an all pure built server ship. Very little of it was done offline. I took the ship offline to do the hull work, the initial cleanup of the hull, and to make sure everything matched and everything looked good. Beforehand, the saucer had all sorts of artifacts in it. It did not look like this. All this detailing work, the gray lines, stuff like that, that's all been done by other builders. the engines and stuff, but a significant portion of the hull work, the outlining of it, was done offline, of course, to get the correct design, to get the good look, as opposed to, you see the cylinders on this ship look so much nicer as opposed to the TOS version, which are not so nice. But this was done on server. There was absolutely no cleanup work done on her. She was just basically built straight as from the 3D image, or excuse me, from the 3D model. And you can see the difference. See how that saucer section looks as opposed to this one? You know, granted they're completely different ships. Well, this ship eventually becomes this ship. So, but I like the looks of this one a lot better than the way this 3D model looks here. But still, they did a phenomenal job on that. This is Brain Pop and a few others worked on this, and they did a beautiful job on her. I mean, they did what they could do, but wow. It's definitely, it takes my breath away when you see it, because they did this all just eyeball and stuff like that, and they nailed it. You know, granted, I'd like to see the hull a little bit cleaned up, but you know, you can't have everything, and damn, it's a nice ship. But this is still my favorite ship of all. I love this ship. I don't know why, I just do. We ran into a problem with her. We ended up with an extra deck, and we used the strategic design deck plans, and we found that well, they're great deck plans, but they're lacking. They don't have everything that we need, and as you can see, we have an extra deck. So we had to make the best of it, and M. Heller and I tore into it and beat our heads against our keyboards, and eventually we came up with a fix for it, and the fix actually makes the ship that much better, in my opinion. This, of course, is the cargo hangar area. Drop down here, we can actually get up and look at it. Anyways, the additional deck is above us. So, the airlock comes out on deck 15, I think it is, but fortunately, because of the way it was designed on the strategic designs, it came out a deck too high, so we had to fix it. And Impeller, and I think Brain Pop was involved in that too. Basically, the airlock steps down to this deck, as before it used to just go straight into the deck above us, and that wasn't going to work. So this was the agreed upon fix, and I gotta say, it worked out very well for us. You probably see it better through here if I can slow down enough. Yeah, those are piston doors. Shh! Don't tell anybody we have redstone on the server. Not supposed to have redstone, but I sneak it in everywhere I can. As long as there's no clocks, it doesn't really hurt the server, but then again, you know, it's not my server, and I don't really want to offend the guy that does run it, which is M. Heller. But we like piston doors. I'll give you a demonstration of how doors like that work. You walk in, you're like, hey, I want to get in the ship, and normally there'd be like metal doors here. That's a piston door. This, of course, is the torpedo launching area, torpedo bay. Again, the design of this room, they built the room, or built the set without any consideration of the actual space on the ship that it goes into. So we had to, of course, use creative license along with the deck plans to make everything fit. And yeah, I think we pulled it off. I have no idea what this section... Oh, wait. Yep, it's torpedo access. Well, I'm getting dirty looks from people at the house here, so I'm going to have to log off and go about doing other stuff. Hopefully this recording worked. If not, oh well, I'll try again later. This lift extension is modification of the deck plans. Oh yeah, cool, good idea. And I think this is engineering? No, it's Jeffrey's tubes, so we're a deck above engineering. Break out the trusty compass, bounce through the wall, and down one. Oh my god. What the hell? This is gonna get fixed. This is not good. What the hell? Oh well. See? Finding stuff to fix all the time. I wanted to show you main engineering. I have no idea where I'm going. Ugh. More stuff that needs to be fixed. Arg. Ooh, we're falling. This should take us to engineering. Here we are, main engineering. And with that, hasta la vista.